Hi, Rhetoric students. It's Miss Bale. I am introducing you to the formal outline with MLA citations. You may expand on this as needed. You'll see what I mean in a minute. As you are building your outline, you're going to be highlighting different areas in the colors here. So the issues will be highlighted in yellow, and those represent the body paragraphs. Your opposing opinions will be in blue. Your own opinion will be in green, and your parenthetical citations in pink. And I will show you an example of this in a moment. So the first thing that you do is build your introduction. Of course, you can work these out of order, but I'm just going to go first things first. So you will want to have an interest catcher. It's different than a hook, where you typically have some kind of famous quote or a statistic or something like that that's just like this one sentence. But this is a little more involved in that it's going to help you establish context for your claim. So there's different ideas here. Provide some historical background, a little bit of historical background. Give a definition of terms, a brief history with dates, why the topic is worth exploring, and of course your counterclaim. So the three that I think are the most important are the definition of terms, why the topic is worth exploring, and your counterclaim. So it depends on your topic whether giving a little bit of a history with some dates will work for you or not. So these are flexible, but you definitely need to have definitions in there and explaining why you are writing this paper. Do not use the word I, and a counterclaim or more than one. Okay, you may have more than one counterclaim. Then you establish your claim in the introduction. So Roman numeral 2, you will have your topic sentence that addresses the first issue that you've identified. Okay, so that should be coming from artifact 1B. Hopefully you did a good job on that. If you have questions about it, just let me know. But what are some issues basically you've identified with your topic, and you're going to organize them in a way that works best for your paper. So issue number 1, what's the opposite opinion about that issue? What is some evidence that you can cite? And then analyze a little bit of that evidence and show how that evidence is failing to consider this or that. So you're using that argumentative language. You will be also citing your source here as well. And I'll again show you an example of a finished one. Then in your first body paragraph, you will then transition to your opinion and give your evidence. So we're looking for at least 2 pieces of evidence, for that, potentially 3, okay? And you might have more than that, but be careful with your use of evidence. You don't want to use too much or too little. Remember how to use your blended quotes techniques, otherwise called embedding quotes. So issue 2 is going to look the same. So you're just going to keep doing this pattern throughout the rest of the essay, where you give the opposite opinion, you give evidence, you analyze it a little, then you move on to your opinion. Notice that you have a lot more evidence to support your opinion. You don't want the opposing side to take up all the room in your paper. Okay, so you mention the opposing side, you give some evidence, then you move on to your opinion. And then issue number 3, same thing. So it's laid out the same way for each body paragraph. You can have an issue number 4 if you would like if you're going for that higher grade, just to show that you've really considered all these different perspectives or problems about your particular topic. So that is optional. Then you get to the conclusion. And one idea is to just summarize all the issues that you spoke about earlier, wrote about earlier, and insights that you've gained. So this is how you really kind of elevate your conclusion paragraph that typically a lot of times gets somewhat neglected. And really, the conclusion is so important because you want to leave your reader with a strong impression, and you want to show the reader what, not only what you've learned, but how you were able to really establish your claim by getting some new insights into what you've learned and about what you've learned. So definitely connect it back to the claim. Restate your thesis. Please do not just copy paste your thesis or your claim. Do not just use the same exact one that you used in your introduction. Restate it so that it has the same meaning, but you say it in a different way. Okay. So I'm going to show you an example of a finished outline here in just 1 second. Okay, so again, this is coming from Mr. Watley's class, and I did simplify ours, and you're going to see all this stuff. And yes, this is what yours is going to look like. So notice that you have your citations, your parenthetical, meaning parentheses here, your citations. You've got your evidence in quotations, your direct evidence in quotations, and then you have your citations here. There's going to be a variety of ways to do this, but so this is just one example of using in-text citations. So this one has page numbers. Then over here, you see the next one has just the author's name. So it depends on the type of evidence you're using, whether it's a website, whether it's a book, an article, and so on, how you're going to do that. So you want to make sure, though, every time you're citing evidence that you've got your parenthetical citations. We need to be able to find all your citations that you are listing in your essay on your works cited page. So you cannot have things cited in your essay that are not also on your works cited page, and vice versa. You cannot have works cited on your works cited page that is not used in your essay. So everything has to match perfectly. So you can see here in the green, the green, that there's the claim, and in the purple are the citations. The yellow are the issues, which would act as basically like your topic sentences for every body paragraph. You've got the opposite opinion in blue. What are they saying about this? What is some evidence that you've gotten to show what they're saying about it? And then you come back with your opinion, right? So again, using that argumentative language to make those transitions between ideas and between claims and counterclaims. So you will have your evidence, and then you will have your analysis. Now this here, what this says here, that's not analysis. Okay, so ignore that, but your reasoning is your analysis. So you need to you're not only interpreting the quote or the evidence that you're using, you're showing how it connects to your claim. And then it basically follows, like I said before, it follows that same pattern throughout. And sometimes for certain issues, you may have more evidence than you do in other ones. And that's okay. So have a good mixture of longer and shorter paragraphs. Okay, so then you get down towards the end. I blocked all this out because it's just too much, and I didn't want to overwhelm with all this text. So just ignore that. You get down to your conclusion, and you are going to, reiterate some of your main evidence and show how it connects to your claim and any new insights that you've gained. And again, remember that the paper is connected, is an extension of 1984. So at any point you want to make an allusion to Orwell or 1984, that is totally fine. You do not need to cite page numbers or anything like that for the book. unless you are using a direct quote. So if you just want to make some casual allusions or references to the book, that is fine. We all know the book, and you can definitely add that as a if you want to do a formal citation, then make sure you put it on your works cited page. Okay. Otherwise, you can just mention Orwell 1984, and you don't need to worry about anything else. So hopefully this helps you know like how to lay out your paper. And this is going to count as 2 test grades. So it's weighted double. The outline is super important. Some of you may be able to just submit your outline as your final application final. Those of you that are not in the A range right now, you're going to need to write your paper. Okay, so you will need to do both of these things to help your grade. So if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out. Thanks, guys.